He said, it's okay. We'll give you a discount on next month's fee. And I said, actually, no, you won't. You're fired. Get the hell out of my lab. Computer systems are a little smarter these days. I left that job about 6 months after that. I really don't know whatever happened to Murray. But somewhere, here's what I like to think. Somewhere, a researcher was looking at a piece of human tissue for some condition that has plagued people, given them pain, given them discomfort. And that researcher has said, aha! That's how we beat this. And in that case, good old Murray didn't die in vain. It's a cool lifetime. Yeah. You know, when furry conventions first started out, we didn't have cool stuff like this. You had like a disco ball and one speaker, and a guy with a boombox with tapes in it. Well, as Amphicon started to get bigger and more successful, we had some money, and my AV crew said, we are going to have the biggest, most flashy, most expensive, most amazing dance party that furry fandom has ever seen. And I said, who's going to pay for it? They said, you are. I said, okay. So they started making arrangements with a local AV supplier in Philadelphia. And I talked to the AV supplier and he said, man, when Aerosmith comes to town, they don't get this much equipment. They rented $27,000 worth of, high-end and the speakers and the flashy and the robot and the oots and the movings and the flashings and all that stuff. And they're like, this is going to be great. This is going to be wonderful. People will be talking about this for years. And they set it all up in the hotel and they took the plug and plugged it into the wall. They had thought of everything. Almost. Because right away the entire hotel went dark.
Yeah.
I went downstairs. And there was the AV crew doing this. I said, what happened? They said, we don't know. Lights just went out. And I looked at this cord, and one guy's doing this. I said, let me go talk to the hotel manager. I didn't have to go far, because when I got to the end of the concourse at the other end, I saw the hotel manager doing this. Yeah, it's fun to run these conventions. Have you ever met my mom, by the way? My little old mother. She is herself a furry, arguably the oldest furry currently in our family. She is of a certain age. She is of a certain age. A lady is of a certain age. She can clearly remember the events of World War II and the events leading up to them. She is of a certain age, that's all we'll say. But she loves to go to furry conventions. When my late father was still alive, he loved to go too. And they were such a wonderful couple. At Amphicon 2001, we had as our guest of honor, Mr. Dan DeCarlo. He was the comic book artist from Archie Comics who had created the look of Archie Comics and specifically had created the character of Josie from Josie and the Pussycats. And he brought with him his lovely wife, who was Josie DeCarlo, the lady who had inspired the character. So this was the heaviest hitter, the biggest guest we'd ever had. It's like, oh my God, This is a legend. You know, we grew up with Josie and the Pussycats. Oh my gosh. So when we had our dinner, the board of directors always have a very formal dinner with the guests on Thursday night. Dan and Josie were sitting to my left. My programming director, Suzanne, at the time, well, she's now Suzanne Pollard, was sitting at my right. Josie was very charming. She is French by birth. Dan had met her during World War II. You might say that she was his Mademoiselle from Armentières. She had this very, very charming French accent. And if you look at the character of Josie, who was always very hot in the comics, even at a certain age, Josie didn't lose it. She was still a hot tomato, I'll say. But of course, I'm going, oh yes, I'm very professional. And I'm going on about how, oh yes, we're extremely pleased to have you, and we hope that you notice that one of the most professional conventions you've ever dealt with. You just notice we're all wearing suits and getting you expensive food. And I was going on, and Dan and Josie were being very, very quiet. And when I stopped finally to take a breath, Dan looked up at Suzanne across the table and said, "What kind of a drunk do you make?" The table went quiet. And Suzanne went, You'd have to get me drunk to find out. And Dan said, "Waiter, bring us a case of wine." And Josie being to me, "Oh yes, that is my Dan. Even today, when we go places, he always gives me the little pinch on the derriere. He loves the pretty girls." See, I had not known something about Dan DeCarlo. He was one of the finest comic artists, a legend, a man who changed the entire culture of the comic industry. He was also what, in my parents' generation, was called a horn dog. There is a book out there called The Pinup Art of Dan DeCarlo. Dan was into some things. You ever been to Fur Affinity? Dan was into some things. And I was like, okay, all right. Later on that evening, I heard a story about Dan that had happened at another convention, a comic convention. It was one of these nightmare scenarios that any con chair winds up telling 2 years later at the Con War Stories panel. The eminent, the exalted Dan DeCarlo, who was very fine, by the way, he was sitting at this Q&A session drawing. And the chairman was taking, questions from the audience. How did you get into drawing? How did the character of Josie get inspired by your wife? Did you ever,